Welcome to Beit Kol Israel. We begin a new part of the Torah. We begin the book of Numbers, which is actually in Hebrew called Bamidbar, in the wilderness. Yes, they do count Hebrews, the number of Hebrews in the wilderness and those that came with them, but it's really about being in a wilderness journey, because that's where we are now. We are in a spiritual wilderness. That's what Ezekiel tells us. We are in a wilderness among these people in these last days. So it's here in this spiritual wilderness that we are in, and in the physical one they were in. He took care of them physically, but he also took care of them spiritually, and that's what we need to count on in these days. So Lord Yeshua, we come before you and we ask humbly to remove from us the sins that are upon us. And we confess we are sinners and we need salvation, because that prevents the connection, that prevents the relationship. And if we want to come into your kingdom, we need this salvation relationship. You also ask us to come before you as spotless. Paul says that offer yourself as a holy, spotless, and living sacrifice. We don't kill animals anymore, because that all taught about all the work that you do, Messiah. That's why we also thank you for everything that you've done in the past and are doing in our lives right now and will do forevermore. You take care of everyone right now. This whole earth, everyone is fed by you, clothed by you, everything is given by you. But in eternity, it's only those who want to be with you and want to be in a relationship with you that will be allowed into your kingdom with you. And we want to be with you, Lord Yeshua, and that's why we worship you and you alone. And we thank you that you died for us, that we might be able to live with you for all of eternity. And now we call upon that special and precious promise of yours, for you said you would send of your own Spirit, your own self, to teach all of us all things. And we give thanks for that in your holy name, Yeshua. Amen and amen. Again, we're at Bamidbar. It's not just about counting the people. It's also, they're counting the hosts, the soldiers, because he's Jehovah Tsavaot, Jehovah of the hosts, which means, and the root of Tsavaot is Tzav, command. So he's the commander-in-chief of a spiritual and physical army. So, and that's why Yeshua says, if you love me, keep my commandments. You notice he doesn't say our commandments, he says my commandments. Which are those commandments? They're the 10 commandments. And here we are on Sabbath, which he says, above all my Sabbaths you shall keep. It is a sign between me and you throughout your generations, that you may know that I am the Lord Jehovah, who sanctifies you, separates you from the people. And since that's in 31:13 of Exodus or Shemot, if you go backwards, since it's a palindromic number, the same forward and backward, if you want to be separated from the world, sanctified by God, and know him, we have to keep his Sabbath. So he knows us, but we want to know you, Lord Yeshua, not just in the head, but in the heart and in relationship. And this is the beginning of this wilderness experience. So they count the number of people, the number of soldiers, and now later on in this journey, the spies are going to reject the land, and they have to spend 40 extra years in the wilderness. An entire generation will die, and at the end of this section, this book of In the Wilderness, they're going to count the people again, and guess what? It's almost the exact same number. So God's plan always goes through, and if people reject him, he replaces them with people who will not reject him. Just like when they made the golden calf and 3,000 died in the Feast of Pentecost in the New Testament, 3,000 were joined that day. So that replaced the 3,000 who rejected him with the golden calf. So God's plan always goes through. Also the priests are numbered, the Levites. We are reminded that Levites have no inheritance, physical inheritance on land, because Jehovah says, I am their inheritance. But Levi means to be joined. So those that are joined to him, their inheritance is Messiah, and so our inheritance is Messiah, and his inheritance is us, because he also says, I will make you a kingdom of priests, those joined to me. So that's why we want to get together, to stay joined to you, Lord Yeshua. And so we ask people to join us in this joining process, which is him teaching us and guiding us and perfecting us stage by stage and bit by bit. So we will go right into the teaching now. As a reminder, in this congregation years ago, we decided to change how we do things. Instead of just reading some of the Psalms every week, we decided to go through the entire Bible as a congregation. Started off years ago in Joshua, and now we are going through the remaining Hebrew scriptures from the New Testament that have been found. And that is, we're currently in the book of Revelation. As a reminder, this is the counting of the Omer. We're counting. We have next week. We have a double Sabbath next week. We have the regular Sabbath and then the Feast of Weeks, which will be next Sunday. So we're at day 42. a week from now is 49 and the 50th day. Now, in the rabbinical calendar, they celebrate it on a completely different day. They don't follow the Torah. It's really sad because the counting of the Omer says you shall count 7 Sabbaths, and the next day after the 7th Sabbath shall be the Feast of Weeks, which means the Feast of Weeks always has to be on the first day of the week. And yet this year, I think they're celebrating it on a Tuesday, which is wrong. But we try our very best to do what God tells us to do. So again, we're going through the book of Revelation, which in Hebrew is called Eleh Hasadot, these the secrets, or these secrets you would say in English, and it's in English it's called the book of Revelation of Messiah, of Jesus, Yeshua to John. We just call it the Revelation here for briefness. We're going to read from the Hebrew and from the Greek translations. And a reel, like a rod, was given unto me, and he said, stand up, measure the temple of Jehovah, and its altar, and those who pray in it. In the Greek, and measuring rod similar to appearance to a rod was given unto me, and the messenger, saying, get up and measure the temple of the God, and the altar, and the ones worshiping in it. So why would we measure the temple? Well, the temple is a teaching system. We don't have the physical temple anymore, but we have the description of it, and we understand that everything in this temple teaches about how Messiah wants to bring us back into himself, into his kingdom, into his relationship, because the incense altar, which was pressed right up against the veil that separates the holy from the Holy of Holies, that's where the incense altar was, and that represents Israel. And on Yom Kippur, that's the day the wicked are destroyed. A lot of incense, all the prayers of God's people are joined at that time as we get prepared to enter into the Holy of Holies. Also, that veil represents our flesh and Messiah's flesh. So when Messiah died for us and that veil was torn, now we have a promise of future access into that eternal temple or relationship kingdom with God. And I will give, and this is verse 3, and I will give my 2 witnesses, and they shall prophesy 1,260 days, clothed in sackcloth. That means the prophecies they give are not going to be pleasant. They're going to be sad. This can be a time of great tribulation. This works out to 3.5 years. In the Greek, he says, and I will give authority unto my 2 witnesses, and they will prophesy for 1,260 days, clothed in sackcloth. Now there's some... let's read verse 4 first. And these are 2 olive trees and 2 torches standing before the God of the earth. It says the same thing in the Greek. Well, 2 torches, these are also parts of the menorah, the 2 lampstands. So it talks about 2 of these congregations. There are 2 congregations within the message to the congregations that had received no warning from God. It was Philadelphia and Sardis, I believe. Is that it? Philadelphia? Smyrna, yeah, Philadelphia and Smyrna. They were given nothing bad was told about them. All their work was, their relationship with Messiah was much purer than the other 5. So you can think of those 2 congregations as being the 2 olive trees. You can also think of the house of Ephraim and the house of Yehuda, the 2 separate houses of the Hebrews, which are God's people, also representing these 2 witnesses. My personal belief is, yes, that these are 2 groups of people, but also, as in the time of the original Exodus, Moses and Aaron stood before Pharaoh and his high priest, the priest of the sun god Ra, and they represented, Aaron and Moses represented God and his people, and Pharaoh and that high priest represented Satan and his people. So I believe it's the same thing. So I believe they're 2 individuals, but I also believe this is being 2 groups of people. And they will prophesy. I think the prophecies they give, as we read about the plagues that happen on the earth, I think this is the message they give to the world. These events are about to come, because that's what Aaron and Moses says. The water was turned to blood, the locusts came, the frogs were on the land, all these different things. Now they're just going to be different worldwide events instead of just Middle Eastern events. Verse 5, and if anyone wants to do them evil, fire comes and burns them up. From the Greek, it says, if anyone wants to harm them, fire comes out of their mouth and it consumes their enemies. And if anyone wants to harm them in this way, he must be killed. So the world definitely wants to kill not only these 2 individuals, but also these groups of people. And we're going to find out later on that toward the end that the world will kill most of these people. And they will have authority to shut up the heavens, so that rain will not come upon the earth in the days of their prophesying, and over the waters to turn them into blood, which is death, and to smite the earth with plagues at any time that they want. Basically, it says the same thing in the Greek. Verse 7, and after this testimony is completed, this is the 1260 days, the 3.5 years, the beast, that's a governmental system that rules over the whole earth, and there's a leader of this beastly system, which is like Pharaoh was in the original one, that came from the abyss. Now, remember, the one who comes from the abyss, when something hits the earth for 5.5 months, we have darkness. 5 months we have darkness. Is called Abaddon or Apollyon. That is actually Satan. And if we understand what the anti-Messiah is, there have been 3 anti-Messiahs, because God tends to work in threes. The first anti-Messiah was the serpent, which was a physical human being, male and female human being, who allowed the fullness of Satan into him. That's the first anti-Messiah, because he said, don't believe in the tree of life, but believe in Satan. And the second one was Judas, because when Yeshua dipped the sop, then Satan entered into Judas, and it was he who betrayed Messiah, again in the garden with a kiss. That's why Yeshua said, when he's speaking to Judas, he's actually speaking to Satan. He says, do you betray your master with a kiss? It's again. And this last time, there's going to be a leader of this one world government. He will have the fullness of Satan in him. So this is the third and final of the anti-messiahs, which means not only the opposite, but instead of. So remember, we were just talking about 31:13 of Exodus, when God tells us in Exodus, above all my Sabbaths you shall keep. It is a sign between me and you throughout your generations. That means the anti-Messiah says, above all, do not keep Sabbath. If God says, if Yeshua says, if you love me, keep my commandments. So the anti-Messiah is going to say, hate God and break all his commandments, which is what the world is doing right now. They are trying to break every commandment of God in every possible way, which is the same thing just before they left Egypt. They had to spend an extra 400 years there, because God says the sin or iniquity of the Canaanites is not yet complete. They have yet to break all of God's commandments. And that's why God says, I have to destroy all the Canaanites in the physical promised land. That's why God will have to destroy all the spiritual Canaanites, the ones who reject God in every possible way, before we can go into eternity and take possession of God's kingdom. So again, the beast that came will make war, and that beast is inside, that's Satan inside the world's leader, and now they're going to start making war with the people who've been prophesying against the world. And their corpses, these 2 witnesses, also many people of these groups, but in particular these 2, I believe, will be in Jerusalem. They will be thrown upon the Rehovot, the streets, which also means the broad and open places. Rehov can mean like a square or an open place, of the holy city, which is called Sodom and Egypt. Now that's spiritual, because it says in the end days Jerusalem will be like Sodom and Egypt, very immoral. And there's bad things going on in Jerusalem. Tel Aviv's the same way. They have gay pride parades, all kinds of junk going on, just like here in the United States, because our Lord was crucified, killed there. And in the Greek it says, their corpses will lie upon the street of the great city, which is called symbolically Sodom and Egypt, where also their Lord was impaled. 11:9, and some of the peoples and of the tribes saw at their corpses 3.5 days. Notice 3.5 years, 3.5 days. This is a time of tribulation. And they will not bury at them. They're afraid. These people have been prophesying against them and prophesying of destruction over the whole earth. In the Greek, he says, and of the peoples and of the tribes and of the languages and of the nations will see their corpses 3.5 days, and they will not allow their corpses to be placed in a tomb. I think they're going to be afraid to get anywhere near them personally. And those that dwell upon the earth will rejoice over them and will send one another gifts. For these prophets had caused much suffering unto those that dwell upon the earth. But it's not the prophets that are causing suffering on the earth. It's our sin that causes destruction on this earth, and they are just transmitting God's message of warning to the world, because it says later on in the book of Revelation, after all these plagues, yet the people will still not repent. They cursed God and did not repent of their sins. In the Greek, he says, and the ones dwelling in the earth will rejoice over them and will celebrate and will send gifts to one another, because these 2 prophets tormented the ones dwelling on the earth. Verse 11, and after 3.5 days they stood up and stood upon their feet, and fear and great terror fell upon those that saw at them. Basically saying the same thing in the Greek. Well, what time is this? This is actually when Messiah is coming, and he starts to resurrect in the Adamic form, his bride, if you want to call it that. These are the ones who says, those who partake of this early or first resurrection, the second death will have no effect on them because they're already in the perfected form. These were the ones who will rule from the Mount of Olives with Messiah for the remainder of this millennial period. So this is, again, this is connected. When they are resurrected on the Temple Mount or wherever they are in Jerusalem, that's when all of God's first resurrection will occur. And they heard one voice saying unto them, come up. And they went up into the heaven. Okay, they didn't go into the heaven of heavens, disappearing from our sight, because it says, in a cloud, and their haters saw at them. So clearly they're within the atmosphere. And what's happening, they're being raised up. Messiah is coming down. And there's also other people, if you read Ezekiel and some of the other prophets, who are these fly like the dovecotes, like birds flying in and joining Messiah in Jerusalem. In the Greek, you said they heard a voice, a great voice, phonon megalon, from heaven, saying unto them, come up here. And they went up into the heaven in the cloud, see, and their enemies beheld them, saw they could see them. So it's not some distant place. And in that hour, that means always within this moment in Hebrew, in that hour there was an earthquake, and 1/10 part of the city, Jerusalem, fell, and 7,000 of the sons of man died, and others were terrified and gave praise unto the God of the heavens. Greek, from the Greek. And in that hour a great earthquake took place, and 1/10 of the city fell, and 7,000 named humans, specific humans, in other words, were killed by the earthquake, and the rest became terrified and gave glory to the God of heaven. Remember, every knee will bow, and every tongue will confess that Jehovah is the only God. Look, the second woe has gone by, and the third is coming. Now, the third is always the final. God works in, when he works in threes, the third is always the final. Same thing in the Greek. And that ends chapter 11 of Revelation. Again, next week we'll be on chapter 12. And now we'll go into the regular readings. Okay, this is Bamidbar, which in your Bible, if they have English, in the English you're going to see numbers. It was called that because they numbered the people, but it's really about the wilderness journey. And it's in the wilderness where, in Hosea it tells us, because we'll read that in the Haftorah portion, it's there in that wilderness that we'll be called sons of the living God, because that's where we're separated and sanctified and trained to be godly people instead of being worldly people. And when they were in the physical wilderness, it removed them from the pagan influences of Egypt, and also kept them from going into the land of Canaan before they were properly trained to reject the paganism of the Canaanites. So right now, if we have a relationship with Messiah, he is training us to reject the world and to choose him. And this is the first 4 chapters, most of the 1 through 420 of Bamidbar, Numbers, sorry. And Jehovah spoke to Moshe in Mount Sinai, in the wilderness of Sinai, because this is where the Horeb mountain range is. It's up in the northern eastern finger, just to the east of that of the Red Sea. This is where they are. In day 1 of the second month, in the second year of their going out from the land of Egypt. So they basically have been at Mount Sinai, this area, for 2 years. Remember, this is when the Torah is given. They're instructed on how not to be slaves and pagan worshipers, but to be free people and to worship the one and only God of heaven. So now we need to start counting the soldiers, because now we start to prepare for our journey to go to the promised land. Take at Rosh Kol Adat B'nai Israel, the census of all the congregation of the sons of Israel, but really it means Rosh is head. In other words, the leaders of every household, these adult men that were able to go to war, they would stand up, they would be counted, and they would also tell, just like in a census taker comes up to your house in this country, how many people are in your house, how many, who are they, that kind of thing. But initially we're just going to count the heads of these families. So take the count of the heads of the sons of Israel by their families, see, and by the houses of their fathers. Which tribe do you belong to? According to the number of the names, every male one by one. So it's not that the rest of the people were ignored. These people were the heads of these houses, and they described what house, what tribe, how many members were in their household. From 20 years old and upward, all those who were able to go to war in Israel. That's why they're called Tzavaot, the commanded ones, the hosts in English, they say. You and Aaron shall number at them by their hosts, and and with you there shall be a man of every tribe, a man who is the head of the house of his father. So Reuben and Shimon and Levi and Judah, the heads of these tribes, would go along with Moses and Aaron to verify and also to be witnesses to this proper counting of the people. And a man who is the head of the house of his father shall be with them. And these are the names of the men who shall stand with you. Of Reuben, because remember, this is many years after Reuben lived, but his descendants are of the tribe of Reuben. So of Reuben, Elizur, the son of Shadur. Of Shimon, Shlemuel ben Surishadai. Of Yehuda, Nachshon ben Aminadav. Now remember, as we're going to find out later, when the tribes are told in what order they should be and how they should travel, it's the tribe of Yehuda that always runs point and goes first. That's why I love the saying. They said when they crossed the Red Sea, Nachshon had wet feet, because when God told Moses, why are you standing here? The thought being, or the story being, or the way of saying it is when Nachshon, the head of the tribe of Yehuda, stepped forward into the Red Sea, then all of a sudden it divided. So everyone else walked on dry ground, but Nachshon had wet feet. That's just a saying. It's nothing in the Bible says that. Of the tribe of Yisachar, Netanel ben Suar. Of Zebulun, Eliav ben Chalon. Now, if you're looking on here too, if you see on the screen, when you see it in italics here, that's the meanings of all these names. The meaning of every place and every person is given, because sometimes you need to read the passages in the Bible with the meanings of the names, not just the name. And of the sons of Joseph, remember that's add to me. Of Ephraim, double fruitfulness, because the Ephraimites will eventually become the leader of the 10 northern tribes, and they are much more fruitful, many more of them than there are of the house of Yehuda. Of Manasseh, so notice it's of the sons of Joseph, you have Ephraim and of Manasseh, because when they were in the land and Jacob was still alive, he told Joseph, your first two sons born to you in Egypt, Ephraim and Manasseh, are now mine, as Reuben and Shimon are. So that's why they're listed this way. Of Joseph, you have Elishama, and of Manasseh, you have Gamliel. Of Benjamin, Avidan ben Gidoni. Of Dan, Achiezer ben Ammishaddai. Of Asher, Pagiel ben Ochran. Of Gad, Elisaph ben Deuel. Of Naphtali, Achirah ben Enan. And of those who were called of the congregation Ha'idah, the princes of the tribes of their fathers, they were the heads of the thousands of Israel. And Moshe and Aharon took at these men who are appointed by name. And at all the congregation assembled together in day 1 of the 2nd month, and they declared their ancestry by their families, by their houses, by their fathers, according to the number of the names from 20 years old and upward, one by one. As Jehovah commanded at Moshe, so he numbered them in the wilderness of Sinai. And the sons of Reuben, the firstborn of Israel, their generations by their families, by the houses of their fathers, according to the number of the names, one by one, every male from 20 years old and upward, all who were able to go out to war. Those who were numbered of them, of the tribe of Reuben, were 46,500. Of the sons of Shimon, their generations by their families, by the houses of their fathers, those who were numbered of it, according to the number of the names, one by one, every male from 20 years old and upward, all who were able to go out to war. Those who were numbered of them, of the tribe of Shimon, were 59,300. Of Bnei Gad, their generations by their families, by the houses of their fathers, according to the number of the names, from 20 years old and upward, all who were able to go out to war. Those who were numbered of them, of the tribe of Gad, were 45,650. Of Bnei Yehuda, the sons of Judah, their generations by their families, by the houses of their fathers, according to the number of the names, from 20 years old and upward, all who were able to go out to war. Those who were numbered of them, of the tribe of Yehuda, were 74,600. Of Bnei Issachar, their generations by their families, by the houses of their fathers, according to the number of the names, from 20 years old and upward, all who were able to go out to war. Those who were numbered of them, of the tribe of Yisachar, were 54,400. Of Bnei Zebulun, the sons of Zebulun, their generations by their families, by the houses of their fathers, according to the number of the names from 20 years old and upward, all who were able to go out to war. Those who were numbered of them of the tribe of Zebulun were 57,400. Of B'nai Joseph, of B'nai Ephraim, so now you see the subset under Joseph, their generations by their families, by the houses of their fathers, according to the number of the names from 20 years old and upward, all who were able to go out to war. Those who were numbered of them of the tribe of Ephraim were 40,500. Of B'nai sons, or B'nai Manasseh, their generations by their families, by the houses of their fathers, according to the number of their names from 20 years old and upward, all who were able to go out to war. Those who were numbered of them of the tribe of Manasseh were 32,200. So you can already see that Ephraim is almost double the number of the tribe of Manasseh. So, and Ephraim means double fruitful. Now, Ephraim is a plural form, but in Hebrew, generally, if there's no number attached, you just double it. Like Machanim means two camps, not just camps in general. Of B'nai Benjamin, the sons of Benjamin, their generations by their families, by the houses of their fathers, according to the number of the names, from 20 years old and upward, all who were able to go out to war. Those who were numbered of them, of the tribe of Benjamin, were 35,400. Of B'nai Dan, their generations by their families, by the houses of their fathers, according to the number of the names from 20 years old and upward, all who were able to go out to war. Those who were numbered of them, of the tribe of Dan, were 62,700. Of B'nai Asher, their generations by their families, by the houses of their fathers, according to the number of the names from 20 years old and upward, all who were able to go out to war. Those who were numbered of them, of the tribe of Asher, were 41,500. Of B'nai Naphtali, their generations by their families, by the houses of their fathers, according to the number of the names from 20 years old and upward, all who were able to go out to war. Those who were numbered of them, of the tribe of Naphtali, were 53,400. These are those who were numbered, whom Moshe and Aharon numbered, and the princes of Israel, Yisrael being 12 men. They were each one for the houses of his father, and all those who were numbered of the sons of Israel, of the houses of the fathers from 20 years old and upward, and all who were able to go out to war in Israel. All those who were numbered of them were 603,550. And again, at the end of this portion, the scroll of Bamidbar or numbers, they are counted again. It's almost the exact same number. But HaLevaim, the Levites, remember this means the joined ones, right? The joined, after the tribe of their father, were not numbered among them. For Jehovah spoke to Moshe, saying, only at tribe of Levi you shall not number, neither shall you take at census of them among the sons of Israel. They still do a census of them, but it's not as part of Israel. But appoint at the Levites, the joined ones, over the tabernacle of testimony, Mishkan Ha'edut, and over all that belong to it. And they shall carry at the Mishkan, the tabernacle, and at all its furnishings, and they shall take care of it, and shall encamp around it. And when the Mishkan is to move, the Levaim, the Levites, shall take at it down, and when the Mishkan is to be set up, the Levites shall set at it up, and the stranger who comes near shall be put to death. Only God's people in relationship with him are allowed to partake of his temple time. So remember, in this time, the Levites were chosen instead of the firstborn because of the action of the golden calf. The general priesthood was no longer available. It had to be a special, separate priesthood, because at the time of the golden calf, Moses says, all those who will join themselves to Jehovah stand with me, and the entire tribe of Levi did. That's why they became a substitutionary priesthood until the return of Messiah, when he returned the ability for anyone to be his priests. Because the Levites represent this physical priesthood with physical sacrifices. Now in this age we are spiritual priests with spiritual sacrifices. In belief and obedience, that's our sacrifice to God. And the sons of Israel shall pitch their tents, every man by his own camp, and every man by his own banner. So just like in the military, there's a banner for each group. So they had a tribal banner. By the way, Jehovah is also called Jehovah Nisei. It also means banner, or the thing lifted up, the lifted up banner. So after Joseph was split in two, instead of 12 tribes, now there are 13 tribes. 13 represents rebellion in the Torah. in the days of Lot, when they served Hadlamar for 12 years, in the 13th year they rebelled. So 13 means rebellion. So the 13 tribes were rebellious. Messiah becomes the 14th tribe. He died for us on the 14th of the month of Aviv. 14th represents his salvation work for us. So when we come under Yehovah Tzavayot, Yehovah, the tribal banner of Yeshua, that's the tribe we all join to. So it's another thing to think about. That's when it calls by his own banner, his own Niseh, if you must. But the Levites shall encamp around the Mishkan, the tabernacle of testimony, that there may be no indignation on the congregation of the sons of Israel. And the Levites shall be responsible for the tabernacle of the testimony. Thus the sons of Israel did, according to all that Jehovah commanded Moshe, so they did. And Jehovah spoke to Moshe and to Aaron to say, the sons of Israel shall encamp every man by his own banner with the ensigns or signs of the houses of their fathers. At a distance from the tent of meeting shall they encamp around it. So you had the tent in the center. Around that in four square were the Levites, and around them were three tribes on each of the four sides. They were around them. And if you think about it, that's like a two-dimensional projection of a pyramid. If you were like, think of the Great Pyramid, which I believe is the temple that that's talked about in the Old Testament, on the border of and in the midst of Egypt. It has no pagan symbols on it. It's an amazing structure. We couldn't build it today, but the top would represent Messiah. And by the way, it says when there's a chief cornerstone shall come, and everyone shall say chen, grace to it. Well, that Great Pyramid has no capstone on it because Messiah hasn't come back. And then but it represents the whole world in various sections. Just like you have in the center, in the center of the temple, you have Messiah. Then you have the temple. Then you have the Levites, all square around it, and then the Israel around that is the whole world. It's the same thing, representationally. And the sons of Israel shall camp every man by his own banner with the ensigns at a distance. They shall camp around it. And those who encamp on the east side toward the sunrise shall be the banner of Yehuda. And their journey spiritually is away from the sun and pagan worship to the west towards God and his future kingdom, because that's the way the tent and also the temple are set up. The entrance gate is on the east end and the Holy of Holies is on the west end. So Yehuda will always run point. Those who encamp on the east side toward the sunrise shall be of the banner of Yehuda according to their hosts, and the prince of the sons of Yehuda shall be Nachshon ben Amminadab, and his host, and those who were numbered of them were 74,600. And those who encamp next to him shall be the tribe of Yisachar, and the prince of the sons of Yisachar shall be Netanel ben Tzuar, and his host, and those who are numbered of it, shall be 54,400. And the tribe of Zebulun, and the prince of the sons of Zebulun shall be Eliav ben Chalon, and his host, and those who are numbered of it, shall be 57,400. And all who were numbered of the camp of Yehuda were 186,400. According to their hosts, they shall set forth first. So the tribe of Yehuda, to this day, by the way, they did it spiritually before, and in these end times, it's a tribe of Yehuda, because Yeshua is the line of the tribe of Yehuda. It is the tribe of Yehuda and their understanding of Torah that in these end days will lead us lead us as we go along spiritually as the coming of Messiah happens. And on the south side shall be the banner of Reuben, according to their host. The prince of the sons of Reuben shall be Elitzur ben Shedeur, and his host, and those who are numbered of it, shall be 46,500. And all those who camp next to him shall be the tribe of Shimon. The prince of Bnei Shimon, Simeon, shall be Shelumiel ben Tsuri Shaddai, and whose host, and those who are numbered of them, shall be 59,300. The tribe of Gad, and the prince of Bnei Gad, shall be Elisaph ben Reuel, and his host, and those who are numbered of them, were 45,650. All those who were numbered of the camp of Reuven, those three tribes, were 151,450 according to their hosts, and they shall set out second. It's like an unraveling coil. And then the tent of meeting shall set out with the camp of the Levites joined in the midst of the camps as they encamp, so they shall set out every man in his place by their banner. So as they journey, the three tribes of Yehuda, then the three tribes under Reuben, then the tent of meeting, and then we're going to have the remaining 6 tribes in 2 different camps on the rear guard. And on the west side shall be the banner of Ephraim, according to their host, and the prince of Bnei Ephraim shall be Elishama ben Amihud, and his host, and those who were numbered of them were 40,500. Next to him shall be of the tribe of Manasseh, and the prince of Bnei Manasseh shall be Gamliel ben Pedatsur, and his host, and those who are numbered of them shall be 32,200. And of the tribe of Benjamin, and the prince of the sons of Benjamin shall be Abidan ben Gidoni, and his host, and those who are numbered of them shall be 35,400. And all who were numbered of this camp of Ephraim were 108,100 according to their hosts, and they shall set out third. And on the north side, this is going to be the rear guard group. On the north side shall be the banner of the camp of Dan, according to their host, and the prince of Bnei Dan shall be Ahiezer ben Ammishaddai. His host, and those who were numbered of them were 62,700. And those who encamp next to him shall be the tribe of Asher, and the prince of the sons of Asher shall be Pagiel ben Ochran, and his host, and those who are numbered of them shall be 41,500. And the tribe of Naphtali, and the prince of the sons of Naphtali shall be Achirah ben Enan, and his host, and those who were numbered of them were 53,400. And all who were of the camp of Dan were 157,600, and they shall set out last by their banners. And these are those who were numbered of the sons of Israel, and the houses of the fathers, all who were numbered of the camp according to their hosts were 603,550. But Levi'im, the Levites, were not numbered among the sons of Israel, as Yehovah commanded at Moshe. Thus the sons of Israel did, according to all that Jehovah commanded at Moshe. And so they encamped by their banners, and so they set out, everyone by their families, according to the houses of their fathers. Now these are the generations of Aharon and Moshe in the day Jehovah spoke with Moshe and on Mount Sinai. So now we're getting this little parenthetical verses here, which is telling you which Moses and Aaron are we talking about. And these are the names of the sons of Aaron: Nadab and his firstborn, and Abihu, and Eleazar and Itamar. Now I believe that these are two sets of twins just by the way they're talked about when they were born. And these are the names of the sons of Aaron, the Kohanim, who were anointed, whom he consecrated to minister in the office of Kohen. But Nadab and Abihu died before Jehovah when they offered strange fire before Jehovah in the wilderness of Sinai, and they had no sons. And Eleazar and Itamar ministered in the office of priest in the presence of Aaron their father. And Jehovah spoke to Moshe to say, "Bring Et tribe of Levi, and set near, and set at it before Aharon the priest," and he's high priest at this time, "that they may minister to at him." So now Aaron represents Messiah in this priest, in the high priest form, and then his sons represent the bride in the future in God's kingdom during the millennial period, and then all the other Levites represent the duty Levites, which are going to be those God's people within Messiah's kingdom during the millennium. We're going to have spiritual and physical priests at that time. So remember, these are all symbolic things. And they shall keep at his charge, his commands, his instructions, and at the charge of the congregation before the tent of meeting to do at service of the tabernacle. And they shall keep at it all the furnishings of the tent of meeting, and at the obligations of the sons of Israel to do at service of the tabernacle. And you shall give at the Levites to Aaron and to his sons, and they are wholly given to him from at sons of Israel. And at you shall appoint Aaron and at his sons, and they shall keep at their priesthood, and the stranger who comes near shall be put to death. And Yehovah spoke to Moshe. It's just another form of a tense form of the to be verb for Yah. Yehovah, Yehovah, was, is, kind of a thing. And behold, I have taken it the Levites from among the sons of Israel, instead of the firstborn who opened the womb among the sons of Israel, and the Levites shall be mine. So those who are join themselves to God, those are the ones who will be Messiahs through all of eternity. That's why we want to be joined to him, to be his, I'll make you a kingdom of priests. We will be joined to him. And for all the firstborn are mine, spiritual firstborn. It tends never to be the physical firstborn. Remember Cain, but Abel is the right one. It's not... Isaac was chosen. It was not Ishmael. Jacob was chosen, not Esau. It's the spiritual firstborn. For all the firstborn are mine. On the day that I struck it down, all the firstborn in the land of Egypt, I made holy to me all the firstborn in Israel, both man and beast, they shall be mine. I am Jehovah. And Jehovah spoke to Moshe in the wilderness of Sinai, saying, number it, the sons of Levi, by the houses of their fathers, by their families. And Moses numbered them according to the spoken word, which literally means the mouth, the P, the mouth of Jehovah, as he commanded. And these were the sons of Levi, by their names, Gershon, and Kahat, and Merari. And these are the names of the sons of Gershon, by their families, Livni and Shimei. And the sons of Kahat, numbered by their families, Amram and Yitzhar, and Hebron, and Uziel. And the sons of Merari, by their names, Machli and Mushi. These are the families of Levi, according to the houses of their fathers. And of Gershom was the family of Halivni, and the family of Shimei, and these are the families of Gershoni, Ha-Gershoni. And those who were numbered of them, according to the number of the males from 1 month old and upward, these who were numbered of them were 7,500. So now we're going to number all the sons, living sons of the Levites, because they are instead of the firstborn of all the other tribes, which we just counted all the hosts, right? And the families of Gershoni shall encamp behind the Mishkan, westward. And the prince of the house of the father of the house of Gershoni shall be Elisaph ben Lael. And the charge of the sons of Gershon in the tent of meeting shall be the Mishkan and the tent, the structure. Remember the coverings and the poles and the boards. Its coverings and the screen for the door of the tent of meeting, and the hangings of the court, and at the screen of the door of the court, which is by the Mishkan, around the altar, and at the cords for all of its service. And of the sons of Kahat was the family of Amri, the Amorites, and the family of Ha-Yitzhari, and of the family of Hevroni, and the family of Ha-Azieli, and these are the families of Kahati. According to the number of the males from a month old and upward, there were 8,600, keeping the charge of the holy place. The families of the sons of Kahat shall encamp on the south side of the Mishkan. And the prince of the house of the fathers of the families of Bnei Kehati shall be Elitzaphan ben Uziel, and their charge shall be the ark and the table and the menorah and the altars and the instruments of the holy place with which they minister in the screen and all of its service. And Eleazar ben Aharon, the priest, shall be prince of the princes of the Levites, with the oversight of those who keep charge of the holy place. So remember, they're going to package everything up, not even be able to, after it's packaged up, rather, they won't even be able to look at this stuff. They have to carry it. Moses and Aaron will actually pack up the Holy of Holies. And Merari was of the family of Machli and of the family of Mushi. These are the families of Merari. And those who were numbered of them, according to the number of all the males from 1 month old and upward, were 6,200. And the prince of the father of the families of the house of Merari was Tsuri ben Achichayil, and they shall camp on the north side of the Mishkan. And the appointed charge of the sons of Merari shall be the boards of the Mishkan, and its bars, and its pillars, and its sockets, and all its instruments, and all its service, and the pillars of the court round about, and their sockets, and their pins, and their cords. And those who encamp before the Mishkan, the tabernacle eastward, in front of the tent of meeting toward the sunrise, shall be Moses and Aaron and his sons, keeping the charge of the sanctuary for the charge or the responsibility of the sons of Israel, and the stranger who comes near shall be put to death. So remember, you have also this leadership group. They follow, it's the same pattern. There's going to be a group in the front and the back, and the Mishkan in the middle when the priesthood travels within the midst of Israel. Remember, Messiah says he wants to be in our midst. He wants to be in us. And all who are numbered of the Levites, whom Moses and Aaron numbered at the spoken word of Jehovah by their families, all the males from 1 month and upward were 22,000. And Jehovah said to Moses, number all the firstborn males of the sons of Israel from a month old upward, and take at number of them. So why number them? Because in the Melchizedek, the king of righteousness, original priesthood, which was restored when Messiah came, it's the firstborn male of every house was the priest of that house. So now we're numbering all the firstborn males, and because we've numbered the number of Levite males, so they are a substitutionary priesthood for all these, so they cover or do the duty of each of the firstborn of Israel. So you have to see if there's enough Levites to cover the firstborn in Israel. And you shall take at the Levites for me, I am Jehovah, instead of all the firstborn among the sons of Israel. See, there's explained. And at the beasts of the Levites, instead of all the firstborn among the beasts of the sons of Israel. And Moses numbered it as Jehovah commanded at him, at all the firstborn among the sons of Israel. And all the firstborn males, according to the number of their names from a month old and upward, of those who were, number of them were 22,273. And Jehovah spoke to Moshe, saying, take at the Leviim instead, see, of all the firstborn among the sons of Israel, and at the beasts of the Levites instead of their beasts, and the Leviim shall be mine. I am Jehovah. And that for the redemption of the 273 of the firstborn of the sons of Israel, who exceed the number of the firstborn of the Levites, of the sons of the Levites, you shall take 5 shekels, a piece for each of them. Now 5 represents mercy, faith, and peace. Those words in most languages are 5 letters. After the shekel of the holy place, and you shall take them, the shekel, and the shekel is 20 gerahs. These are just the weights, the amount of silver. And you shall give the silver with which the remainder of them is redeemed to Aaron and to his sons. So you don't have someone doing the work for you. This donation covers the work that would have been done. You're paying someone to do your work, kind of. It's spiritually, it's what it's talking about. And Moses took at the silver, silver means redemption, because it's called the silver of redemption here, from at those who exceeded the number of those who were redeemed by the Levites, and from at the firstborn of the sons of Israel, he took at the silver 1,365 shekels after the shekel of the holy place. And Moses gave at the silver of redemption to Aaron and to his sons according to the spoken word of Jehovah, as Jehovah commanded at Moshe. And Jehovah spoke to Moses and to Aaron, saying, take at census of the sons of Kehat from among the Levites by their families and by the houses of their fathers. Now, the tribe of Kehat, they take care, and these are the ones who are going to carry the everything that's in the holy and holy of holies. From 30 years old and upward until 50, so priests, Levites can be priests from 30 until 50. Notice Messiah was baptized at the age of 30 by John the Baptist, the immerser. Then he could become a priest, because he could not become an active priest until he was 30. This is the service of the sons of Kehat in the tent of meeting, the most holy things. When the camp moves forward, see, Aaron shall go in and his sons, and they shall take down the veil and the screen and cover it, the ark of the testimony with it, and they shall put a covering of finely worked leather on it, tachash, and shall spread over it a cloth entirely of blue, and shall put in its poles. And on the table of the presence, the sulchan, it's a table of showbread, they shall spread a blue cloth and put on it the dishes, and at the pans, and at the bowls, and at the cups with which to pour out, and the continual bread shall be on it. And they shall spread over them a crimson scarlet cloth, and cover it with a covering of finely worked leather, tachash skins, and shall put in its poles. And they shall take a blue cloth and cover at the menorah, menorah ha-ma'or, the menorah of the light, and its lamps and its tongs and its snuff dishes, and at its oil vessels with which they minister to it. And they shall put at it and at all its instruments with a covering of finely worked leather, tachash, and shall put it on the frame, and upon the golden altar, this is the incense altar, he shall spread a blue cloth and cover at it with a covering of fine leather, and shall put in its poles. And they shall take at all the instruments of the ministry which they minister in the holy place, and put them in a blue cloth, and cover at them with a covering of finely worked leather, and shall put them on the frame. And they shall take away the ashes from at the altar, and spread a purple cloth on it. So remember, blue is God, red is man, purple is Messiah, because red and blue mixed together give you purple. So Messiah is fully God and fully man. And they shall put on at it all at its And they shall put on it at all its instruments with which they minister about it, at all the fire, at the fire pans, at the flesh hooks, and at the shovels, and at the basins, and all the instruments of Hamizbeach, and they shall spread on it a covering of finely worked leather, and put in its poles. And when Aaron and his sons have finished covering at the holy place, and all the furnishings of the holy place, as the camp moves forward after that, then, see, now it's then that the sons of Kahat, shall come to carry it, but they shall not touch the holy place, lest they die. These things are the burden of the sons of Kahat in the tent of meeting. And I attended a Reform synagogue when my wife and I were in Texas once, and it was at this Torah portion. We had a long discussion of why the sons of Kahat were not even allowed to look at it. Everything from they might get arrogant if they look on it, or just it's a really interesting passage. They weren't even allowed to look or touch any of this stuff, but they had to carry it. By the way, the sons of Kahat, this is where Korah comes from, the cousin of Moses, and he rebels against Moses. He's saying, why don't you carry this stuff, basically? And when the charge of Eleazar, the son of Aaron, and the Cohen shall be for the olive oil of the light, and the sweet incense, and the continual meal offering, the anointing oil, the charge of all the Mishkan, and all of it that is in it, the holy place and its furnishing. And Yehovah spoke to Moshe and to Aaron, saying, do not cut off at the tribe of the families of the Kahatis from among the sons of Levi. So this is, in other words, this is actually a protection from them, not to look or even touch the stuff from the Holy of Holies. But thus do for them that they may live and not die when they approach at the most holy things. And Aaron and his sons shall go in and appoint at them everyone to his service and to his burden. But they shall not go in to see at the holy place, even for a moment, lest they die. Okay, our Haftorah portion. Again, the Haftorah portions come when the Greeks forbid reading of Torah, forbid circumcision. So they came up with portions in the prophets that gave the same teaching as the Torah portion that we just went through. So our Haftorah portion this week comes from Hosea 2:1 through 2:25. And it shall come to pass that the number of the sons of Israel shall be as the sand of the sea. So that when he talks about sands of the sea, that's the physical descendants. In other places it talks about your descendants will be as the sands of the sea and the stars of heaven. That's the ones that pass through the fire to perfection, a third of mankind. Because the stars also represent the ministers, if you must, the angels in heaven. It shall come to pass that the number of the sons of Israel shall be as the sands of the sea, that is not measured and not counted. There's so many of them. I believe the whole world has some genetic portion of Israel in them. And it shall come to pass that instead of what was said unto them, Lo Ami, not my people, it shall be said unto them, B'nai El Chai. So remember, in Hosea, this is the punishment given to the house of Israel. You will be defeated in the valley of Jezreel. You have lo racham, no compassion on you, and eventually you'll be Lo Ami, not my people. But now he said, the ones who are called not my people. So when Hosea is talking about the sons of Israel, he's talking about these northern tribes, not all of Israel. Just this group will be so many you can't number them. But it's no, because we're all going through this wilderness experience, and just before Messiah comes, all those from those northern tribes, they will also be called the sons of the living God. By the way, you notice that people are called the sons of the living God. Never angels are never called the sons of the living God. So when it says, when the sons of God went into the sons of man, it was not talking about angels going into people. It was talking about God's people going into non-believers, and among non-believers. And they shall be gathered together, the sons of Yehuda and the sons of Israel. So now here's the sons of Israel talked about, and eventually, just before Messiah comes, we are going to be joined. Now I'm a bit of both. I'm mostly from the tribe of Dan, but also have some Yehuda in me. But basically, we have these two houses are going to be joined together. That's what Ezekiel talks about. See, the stick of Ephraim and the stick of Yehuda shall be in the hand of one shepherd. That's Messiah. So this is what Hosea is talking about here. And shall be gathered together the sons of Yehuda and the sons of Israel, and they shall appoint themselves one head, one leader, and they shall go up out of the land. For the great is the day of Jezreel. That's where God's enemies will be defeated. That's where Israel was defeated by the Assyrians in 721 BC. But now, just before Messiah comes, remember the blood will go up to the horse's bridle as God destroys his enemies that have come to destroy God's people in the land. Say unto your brothers, my people, and unto your sisters, Ruchama, have compassion now on. Contend with your mother. Contend, for she is not my wife, and I am not her husband. And let her put away her harlotries. This is the harlot on the beast. This is idolatrous practice. I'm not her husband. Let her put away her harlotries from her face and her adulteries from between her breasts, lest I strip her naked and reveal everything, all her sin, and set her as in the day that she was born, and make her as a wilderness, and set her as a dry land, and slay her with thirst. And that her sons I shall not have compassion for they are sons of much harlotry. So those who stay joined to the world are the sons of harlotry, which is idolatry. Again, the harlot and the beast in the book of Revelation represents an idolatrous religious system joined to a satanic governmental system. For their mother has played the harlot. She that conceived them both has acted shamefully, for she said, I shall go after my lovers, and that give me my bread and my water and my wool and my flax, my oil and my drink. Therefore, behold, I shall hedge up at your way with thorns, and I shall make up at wall against her, that she not find her paths. This is going through punishment, but the punishment is to prevent God's people who are in rebellion, but still will eventually be his, from actually completely rejecting him. And she shall pursue after her lovers, but she shall not overtake at them. And she shall seek them, but she shall not find them. And then she shall say, I shall go and return unto my first husband, that's Messiah, Yeshua, for it was better with me than now. This is also the story of the prodigal son, who's finding himself eating the scraps in the pig pens. He says, I'd rather be a slave in my father's house better than live in the world. So this is why God is doing this in the world. He's teaching us it will be better with him than anything the world could possibly offer, because God is the one who gives us everything. It's not the world. In the book of when the plagues come in the Exodus, remember they were told those who, when the famine came, remember when Jacob and his family first went into Egypt and the plague had just started, the famine had just started, rather. And the Egyptians cried out to Pharaoh for help and said, okay, you go to Joseph, but Joseph represents Messiah. If you turn to the world, Messiah will make sure you get treated like the world, or the beastly system coming will treat you. But if you turn to him, remember, Joseph took care of all his people. So it's the same thing here. We need to realize that it's God who gives us everything, who supplies our need. For she did not know that I gave her the corn and the wine and the oil, and multiplied her silver and her gold, which she used for Baal, pagan worship. Therefore I shall return and take my corn in its time, my wine in its appointed time, and I shall take back my wool and my flax to cover at her nakedness. And now I shall uncover at her lewdness in the sight of her lovers, and none shall deliver out of my hand. And I shall cause all her mirth to cease. Now, this is not in the scroll. I underlined this because the sins of Jeroboam, the northern tribes, were Sunday, Christmas, Easter, and unclean food. So that's why he says, I shall cause all her mirth to cease, her feasts, her new moons, her Sabbaths. Because the Christians say Sunday's the Sabbath. Well, God says it's Saturday is the Sabbath. And her appointed times, Sunday, Christmas, Easter, all these pagan festivals. And I shall lay waste at her vines and her fig trees, of which she said, they are my hire, that my lovers have given me. And I shall set them for a forest, and the beasts of the field shall devour them. And that's the wicked of the earth. And I shall visit upon her at days of the Baals, wherein she burned incense unto them, and decked herself with her earrings and her jewels. You must be reading about the harlot on the beast in the book of Revelation here. And went after her lovers, and forgot at me, saith Jehovah. Therefore, behold, I shall allure her and bring her into the wilderness, and I shall speak unto her heart. That's what Messiah is doing now. He's speaking to our heart, drawing us. That's why book of Revelation says, come out of her, my people. Join yourself back to Messiah. Come out of Catholicism and all this junk. Because Catholicism, not the people, the system is completely pagan. Sunday, Christmas, Easter, the statues of Mary and Joseph. I mean, they even have St. Joseph's table where they're feeding food to a dead statue. And the rabbinical world, they worship rabbis more than they do Jehovah. Come out of all this junk. Return back to the Torah and Torah only and the God of it. And I shall speak tenderly unto her, for now we are being drawn into a spiritual wilderness right now. And I shall give to her at her vineyards from there, at the valley of Ahor, for a door of hope, that she shall respond there as in the days of her youth, as the day when she came up out of the land of Egypt. Vahaya bayom hahu, and it shall come to pass in that day. This is an idiomatic clue that this is talking about the millennium. In that day, the day of the Lord, which is the millennium. Saith Jehovah, you shall call me my man, my husband, Ishi. And no longer you shall say Baali, my Lord, the false Lord, husband, and master. And I shall remove at the names of the Baals from her mouth, and they shall no longer be remembered by their name. This is clearly when Messiah comes back. This is the millennial kingdom and going into eternity. And I shall cut for them a covenant in that day, millennium again, with the living creatures of the field and with the heavens, the fowl of the heavens and the creeping things of the ground. And I shall break the bow and the sword and the battle from the land. The earth means both. Because there will be peace within. There's going to be this special messianic kingdom in the Middle East. It'll be all the Middle East, basically, not just the little remnant of Israel we have now. The entire Middle East. That's the greater promised land. Even the Taliban understood this. They say that Israel and the United States are gathering together to recreate the greater Israel. It's actually Zion. Now I shall betroth you, marry you unto me forever. It's going into his kingdom forever. By the way, Torah is our wedding document. It's our ketubah. And I shall betroth you unto me in righteousness. Righteousness, remember, God says, belief in God and his word, that is accounted as righteousness. And in justice, that means we actually live it. And in mercy, because he has mercy on us. And he will have abundant compassion. It's not just raham, it's rahamim. It's a plural form of raham. It's abundant compassion. And I shall betroth you, marry you unto me in faith. And you shall know at Jehovah. An intimate relationship. And it shall come to pass in that day, I shall answer, saith Jehovah, I shall answer at the heavens, and they shall respond to the earth. And the earth shall respond to the corn and the wine and the oil. Now, corn just means grain. It can mean any kinds of grain, barley, wheat. Corn is just you can translate it that way too. And the oil. So what do these things mean? Well, corn, that's the food. The bread comes from the wheat, the corns. Wine is covenant. That's Messiah's blood spilled for us. Oil is God's spirit. Because remember, it's the oil that lights the menorah. So in other words, God's message and God's union with the Messianic kingdom, heaven and earth will be one and respond to each other in agreement. And so when he comes, this earth will be changed and it will be a blessed place instead of a cursed place. There'll be no more eating of flesh. Everything will be vegetarian other than the snakes, which will eat dust of the earth still. But it says the lion and the cow will graze together. This is what this is this part here. There'll be no more war. And I shall sow her unto me in the land and in the earth, and I will have compassion upon it. No compassion. I shall have compassion upon those who had no compassion. I shall say unto not my people, Ami ata, you are my people. And they shall say, Elohai, my God. We will respond to him. See, we're going to be finally united. It says, you will never depart from us. We will be with God forever and ever and ever. Now remember, the millennial period is like the birth canal. We were in the womb of space and time for 6,000 years. The seventh millennium is going through this birth canal. It's, Ezekiel calls it a unique day. It's not fully light, not ever completely dark. So it's not the kingdom yet, but it's closer, because the Messianic kingdom is going to be a very good representation, teaching, 1,000-year teaching period of what will come in eternity. The renewed Testament portion, Brit Hadashah, comes from 1 Corinthians 12:12 to 12:20. Even as the body is one and has many members, yet all the members of one body being member are one body, so also is the Messiah. By the way, it's not Jesus Christ, it's Jesus the Christ, Yeshua the Anointed, Yeshua HaMashiach, Yeshua the Messiah. It's not his last name, folks. It means the Anointed One. For also we are immersed by one Spirit into the one body, whether Jews or Greeks. Now, Greeks here is idiomatic, a way of saying in the New Testament is talking about the scattered tribes and all those who join themselves to them, whether slaves or free. And all were given to drink into one Spirit. For also the body is not one member, but many. If the foot says, because I'm not a hand, am I not the body? Is it therefore not the body? If the ear says, because I'm not the eye, I am not of the body. Is it therefore not of the body? If all the body were an eye, where would the hearing? where would be the hearing? If all were hearing, where would the smelling? But now the God set the members, each one of them, in the body, even as he desired. Yet if all was one member, where would the body be?
It relates back to the family members that carry the holy stuff. If
Yes.
you look at it, they all have a part in the body. And that's
All of us have a part, yeah, and we are the body. And some are, now he's going to go into detail because I'm actually working on Corinthians at home right now. I finished this translation last night. He goes into detail, says, we all have a specific job to do. Some are prophets, some are healers, some are teachers, some are, everyone has a different role to do. Just like your body, you need hands, feet, eyes. Every part of your body plays a critical part in your life. So the body of Messiah is the same thing. His priesthood was divided into different duties. The tribes are divided into different duties.
why the guy who carried it couldn't look at it. That
That's-
wasn't his job.
It wasn't his job. That's right. It wasn't his job. In fact, in our lives today, we need to respond to the job that God has appointed us for. And if we try to do someone else's work, we mess up their work and the work that we should have been doing because someone else will have to do ours. But God doesn't allow this. His plan goes through. Just don't rebel against the plan. If God wants you to be a prophet or a teacher or whatever he has assigned you, it may be a big job or a little job, just do it well because it is important. Remember the widow who she put 2 tiny little coins and she's mentioned she'll be remembered forever for the work she did. That was her work. Remember the man who's lame, crippled before Messiah, and they asked, what was the sin of his father or grandfather? He says, no, he was made like this so that I could heal him, because what does he do? He sends them up to Caiaphas as proof that Messiah is here, because he was one of the messianic promises. He would heal the lame from birth, the blind from birth, the deaf from birth. That was his job. He did it well. Yet now indeed are many members, but one body. This is the body of Messiah. The spiritual body. So now we will do our Hebrew lesson and conclude the service. And we're going a little longer one today. Again, we'll go through the letters. This is a Vav, a Yod, an Aleph, a Mem, and a Resh. Rounded Resh is the way to remember that. Bars. Horizontal bars are A's of different note lengths. This is the full note. If there's a divider in the middle like this, it's a half note. If it were to have, and here's a quarter note, this is called the Shva. The short E sounds, this is a full E sound here, this is a half E sound here, and if you were have this Shva next to this, it would be a quarter note. Dots below are E's, dots above. Here's an O sound. If they're in the middle, it's an U sound. We'll go through that. That's called Nakud. In your Hebrew is actually a letter of consonants, and this Nakud or vowel pointing was added to help with pronunciation. So now, pardon? Oh, the cursor. Oh, okay. Yeah, I can do it I'm going to do it with the cursor. Sorry. We have a new system here. So. Okay, if you can see my cursor here, this is a Vav, a Yod, an Aleph, a Mem, and a Resh. So these letters tell you what sounds they make, except for the Aleph and this letter down here, the Ain. They're both silent. They only carry vowel sounds. The difference between an Aleph with a vowel, the vowel sound attached to an Aleph, it would be a soft start. With the Ain, it becomes like a harder start. So, and if a dot, many times when a dot is in the middle of a letter, it's going to change its pronunciation like a bet or a vet. But in other cases, it's a doubling of the sound. So this becomes Vi, because ah and the O sound here is how you get this diphthong, long I sound in Hebrew. Vi, O, there's the O sound. Vayomer. Our root word here is amar, to speak or to say. This is someone is speaking or saying. And this is An. So An spoke. Here's a Yud, Hey, Vav, Hey. Here's a quarter note A, half note A, and the O sound. One of the very old Torah scroll that was had vowel pointing had it like this. There's much discussion on how this name should be pronounced. It is okay to pronounce it. Some say Yahweh, Yehovah, Yahovah, Yahava. It's why you're calling on it, not the pronunciation. So, but it's Yahovah. Yehovah. By the way, the root here is actually Yah, Yod, Hey. Remember when Adam was split into a man and a woman, Adam and Eve, the word for man is ish, and the word for woman is isha, and both will have the ash and the shin, the ash and the shin, but they have unique letters. The man has the yod and the woman has the hey. Well, that means that Adam and Eve, when they were split, they were half images of God, because when a man and woman are joined together in a godly marriage, they have now Yah back in their life. But if they reject the yod and the hey, the Yah, they have two ashes, which in Hebrew is fire. Here's Aleph, half note E into Lamed, that means 2 or 4. Here's the Mem with the vowel, the O sound vowel pointing. This is the Sheen, because the dot's on the right. If the dot were on the left, it would be a Seen. So this is the difference in the letters. It's a half note E into the Hey. This is Moshe, Moses. Here's the Bet. This is a Shva. This tells you that this sound, this consonant sound, is by itself. It's also a syllable by itself. So it's a syllable divider too, this Shva. This is Be, Mead. This is Mim, Daled, Beit, Resh. So Mead, Bar. Our Midbar is our root word here, wilderness or dry place, in wilderness. The is understood, in the wilderness. This is the Samech, which you think of it as a Superman Samech. It's the Superman symbol. It's a Samech with an S in it. That's the way to remember that. Samech, E vowel pointing, Yod. This is a Nun, A into the Yod again. Here becomes a diphthong, so it becomes Sinai. The joke is it's a good place to put a hospital, right? Name a hospital. Bet, Aleph, O sound, Hey, half note E into Lamed, Be, Ohel. Our root here is Ohel, which is tent. So this is intent, in the tent, intent. Mem. Now in this case, the Vav is not, the V is not pronounced, it's just carrying this O sound. Me-o-ed, mo-ed. Here's that sound, the hard E because of the aim and the Daled. Moed is a moed is appointed time, tent of meeting. It's a meeting place and appointed time. Here's the Bet, Aleph by itself, Aleph carrying a half note E, the Het, half note A into the Dalet, so Be-e-had. So now the difference between the Hey up here and the Het, so you can think of it as the Hey is like an open throat, an H sound. The Het, you close your throat, so it becomes a sound. So it means in one. See, Echad is our root here, Be-echad. Okay, Lamed, full note A. Here's the Het again with an O sound, the Daled with a half note E into the Sheen. So this is La Chodesh. Our root here is Chodesh, which we would say month. And this is of the month or to the month or for the month. And this is of the month. Ha, Hey, A, Sheen. Now notice the Sheen also has a dagesh or donut, so it is also doubled here. So it's going to be Hash, Sheni. Sheni, this is the one or the first. Oh, the second, sorry. Echad would be one. Sorry, my bad. The second, Sheni is second. I was thinking of something else. So this is the second, in the first day of the second month is what this is talking about. So here's the Bet with an A. Again, the Shin is doubled here because of the dot in it, and the A, Nun, and Hey. So this is Ba Shana. Our root here is Shana, which is year, in year. Ha Shanit. Now we're talking masculine and feminine numbers. Don't worry about that. That'll come later. Ha Shanit. This is the second. Of is kind of understood here. Lamed, Tzadeh, TZ sound, full note E, the Aleph had the E is just carried underneath the Tzadeh, the Aleph is just there because it's part of the root word. Tav, Torin, remember that, see that toe? Remember the toe on the Tav? It separates it because it can tend to look like this Het, but it has a toe on it. And this is the Mem Sofit, which is this letter, the Mem, in its phenol or Sofit form. So La Tzetam, in their going out, okay, or of their going out. Yeah. in or of, they're going out. And me'eretz, me'eretz. This letter here is this letter in its final form. And you can see with these finals, final forms, that this horizontal piece is stretched down. So whenever you see a letter that goes below what I would call the baseline, you know it's a final form of another letter. So me'eretz, our roof here is eretz or aretz, which is earth, from earth. So literally, and spoke Jehovah to Moses in the wilderness Sinai in tent of meeting in one of the month of the second in the year, in the second year of the first, in the first month on the second year, the first day of the first month in the second year after they have left the land of Egypt. So, and what land are they leaving? Mitzrayim, Egypt, and Lamor rather, to say or saying. You can say it either way, saying. So now Jehovah is about to tell Moses what to say, and that is the last of the teaching for today. So, and Lord Yeshua, we thank you very much for this opportunity to be here with you and you with us, because you say where two or more are gathered in your name, Lord Yeshua, you are here, and there are two of us. And online there are even more. So we are all gathered here under your name, with our desire is to know you as you know us. And that will, in its finality, in its perfect form, will be when we're resurrected. But in the meantime, teach us, Lord, bring us glory by glory, step by step, closer and closer to you. Remove the sin and the influence of sin from our lives and restore us into the desire and bring us in this path of holiness, which is following you, for you are our pillar. And you are always with us, always before us. You're also our rear guard, and we are within you spiritually, but eventually we will be with you in the kingdom forever, which comes by you, and only you, Lord Yeshua, dying for us. And we give thanks for that in your holy name, Yeshua. Amen and amen. Thank you for being with us. That concludes our